Daniel Pearl's abduction and beheading was an act of stunning brutality.
This is an NBC News special report. War on Terror. Here is John Siegenthaler.
Good day, everyone. There's disturbing news from Pakistan today. According to the Wall Street Journal, their kidnapped reporter, Daniel Pearl, is dead.
Pearl was the bureau chief of South Asia for the Wall Street Journal. In the early months after 9/11, he was in Pakistan with his pregnant wife, Mariane, researching a story on Islamic extremists linked to al-Qaeda. One night he went to meet a source and didn't return. Pearl's disappearance made headlines around the world. His newspaper learned he was being held by a group that claimed he was a CIA agent, targeted because he was Jewish. His wife, Mariane, went on television to appeal for his safe return.
And how are you coping with this?
I haven't slept for 6 days, if that's what you're asking. But I have hope. I mean, I'm not desperate because if I stop believing in creating this dialogue, then I stop believing in everything else. So I can't do that. I'm pregnant.
And if you could speak to your husband now, what would you tell him?
I love you.
4 weeks after Pearl was kidnapped, a grisly videotape surfaced, and it left no doubt how he died.
We're heartbroken at his death. Danny was an outstanding colleague, a great reporter, and a dear friend of many at the Journal. His murder is an act of barbarism. It makes a mockery of everything that Danny's kidnappers claim to believe in.
Daniel Pearl was the first prominent Western journalist to die covering the War on Terror. Brad Pitt, watching the story unfold, was deeply moved.
Myself, I remember vividly sitting at the kitchen table and being riveted by this journalist who had been taken, and I don't know if it's because of his spirit or what was there behind it at that time, but the interview of his wife, of course, Mariane, because she came out with such strength.
So when Mariane wrote a memoir of the experience, Brad optioned it. That was long before he and Angelina were an item. But oddly enough, about the same time, Mariane was reaching out to Angelina, at that point a single mom like herself.
It all kind of came at the same time. But yeah, we almost had a play date like 3 years before, and we kind of kept sending word back and forth. But we both hate a phone, and we both take a really long time to respond to the other, and we never got in the same place at the same time.
I've been there, right. But there was something about the two of you that sort of felt like you intersected.
Yeah.
They became friends. After Angelina and Brad became a couple, they decided to move ahead with the project. They recruited director Michael Winterbottom, known for his documentary style. He also had a connection to the story.
In fact, I was in Pakistan when the news of his death came out. So obviously, being there, you kind of more aware of the story and kind of felt more of a connection to the story.
For Angelina, playing the role of Mariane was complicated.
How do you play? I'm sure if somebody said to you, your great girlfriend has gone through the most horrible thing in her life, why don't you stand up and show us what she went through and how it felt? You can't, and it was hard. It was really hard. But she was great, and she did just kind of disappear and say, just do it how you feel.
Did she kind of know that, hey, if I hang around, it's going to be hard?
I think she did, but I also think she genuinely does not care about film.
No, she trusted you.
She believes in... I think she did trust me.
Winterbottom put the actors together in a house in India for hours at a time and then turned on the cameras.
We kind of hoped that by filming in the house over 5 weeks, that gradually the actors would form relationships that were similar in a sense to the relationships the real characters had performed.
Angelina found herself improvising like she had never done before.
We had a thing where he'd say to me, you can leave if you don't want me to follow you in, when I was emotional towards the end, he'd say, if you don't want me to follow you in, close the door. But if it's just leave the door, that'll be the key.
Because it got too heavy.
It got real heavy, or just something would happen where it would just be like, something. You just couldn't handle certain elements of it. But it was that was the only kind of, we could close doors on Michael, but we couldn't get out of the house.
Actor Dan Futterman, who played Daniel Pearl, was working with Angelina for the first time.
She has that touch that some actors have, that how much preparation has gone into it, but in the work, it seems absolutely like the easiest thing in the world. She's doing an accent that's not her own. She was dressed in a way that's not her, and with a prosthetic belly, and she's improvising, and it is the easiest. It seems, in working with her, it's the easiest thing in the world. And some people have that, and many actors like myself don't, but I admire it enormously. There's the feeling of being in the scene with her, and also being a slight bit of me being out of it, thinking, you are so very good.
The movie is a love story.
You can get old and fat and gray and...
I get curvy.
But don't lose your smile. I made an effort to sort of capture as much as possible with Angie the humanity, the relationship, the ridiculous, silly moments, in addition to the deeper connections that they had.
It mattered a lot that you were able to capture this intense relationship, this love that Mariane and Danny had for each other.
It mattered a lot to me. I know it mattered to Angie, and I'm certain it mattered to Mariane, and to Michael. I mean, and there's very little time to do it, and so we shot a great deal of material, and Michael chose the little moments that would speak most to that.
Secret.
I have a name for him.
You do? What?
Adam.
You do feel her love for him
Oh, I hope
is so